Well, if I can put a smile on anyone's face, that's fine. We need more of that down here at the courthouse. So,
Right.
Let's see. All right, over here, we also a couple more people. Hold on.
George, are you handling my case?
I'm handling everything except for the labor and sex trafficking matters.
Yeah, I got the sex trafficking thing.
What is it out?
I've got the sex trafficking case.
Hey, Manny, how you doing?
We already have bond. I just need to get it reduced to make it match what another identical case got. It's just different judges and massively different results end up.
They have I think there's three co-Ds on this matter.
Right.
Terrence Miller from our sex trafficking unit will be on. Should be on at some point, Manny. So
I can cut it short, George. He objects, so let's cut to the chase. As to
whatever that may be, brother.
There's Mr. Miller. All right, we've got.
Just for the record, I'm going to reference a defendant, State of Georgia versus JING, last name LI. The accusation number is 24 PI 008235. She's actually got one additional count than what I have for the exact same issues about the RICO trafficking people. And she was given a bond according to the Fulton County system.
Let me reach out to Terrence real quick.
She's on here too. She's number 19.
Well,
who's your defendant, Mr. Aurora?
Miss Zhen, ZHEN.
Yeah, that one's not on here, Boston.
She's number 6.
Yeah, so yeah,
the person he's talking about is 19, Judge.
Right, their position is 6, 8, and 19.
All right, he's on. Okay.
All right, let me take care of Mr. Fortis real quick because we have one in Cobb County. Milton, Bostic, you ready? We're gonna take care of number 2 because Mr. Fortis is here. He just has 1 case. You ready, Bostic?
Yes. What number you said? 8 or 6? 8.
No, number 2.
2.
Yeah, because that's Mr. Fortis's case, so we're gonna try to take care of him first.
Where is Mr. Fortis?
Right there in
the. Oh, there he is. Okay. I need to open up my screen. There it is.
I gotta make that court reporter co-host. Okay. All right. So this will be number 2, Montavious Jamal Harris, position 2, 24 PI 006414, 82 days without indictment as of September the 2nd. There's no bond on hijacking a motor vehicle, first degree, 2 counts of financial transaction card fraud. Wow.
Just sorry. Wait a second. Sorry.
Bostic, it's our last night of night court. Come on now.
I gotta clock back in. I had clocked out because I wasn't doing anything. Mr. Harris, open 10 cycles, 24 PI, open case 007869, theft by receiving 2 counts. Sorry. And then 23 CP 219916, Flynn and Loon, failure to obey, reckless driving, obstruction, DWI, DUI, driving with a suspended license. Then there's Cobb, hijacking, theft by receiving, street gang, 2 counts, theft by taking, and then there's 19 SC 166095, theft by receiving, 2 counts, sentenced on the same day as 19 SC 166319, street gang, theft by receiving firearm during pistol under 18, sentenced 4 years 6 months. And then there's a whole out of East Point for a stolen car for warrant 52724. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Portis.
Yes, Your Honor. Before the court is Mr. Harris. He is 23 years of age. He's been here his entire life. He resides with his mom. He has 2 sisters, 2 brothers. He has 4 children. The age ranges are 1 to 10. He completed the 11th grade at Douglas High School in Atlanta. And when he's out and the job is still there, he was working at UPS in the packaging warehouse off of Fulton Industrial. and he had been there prior to his arrest for about 10 months. Judge, this is an interesting case because I was able to pull the preliminary hearing transcript, and while I don't want to get into too much of, the facts of what was going on, but there was an incident, but my client was not identified at the scene. There were multiple co-defendants that allegedly took a car from another individual. And then what they did was in the affidavit for arrest, they were tracking the vehicle, like where it was going, as far as they saw it, like, for example, on Cascade Road. They saw it in multiple convenience stores. But the irony of it is that when Mr. Harris was at a convenience store with someone else and they had the cameras out on the car, it was on his car. And as they scoured the area, the other car was nowhere in sight. So the individuals that he was with, I don't believe that they had anything to do with it. I don't believe that they're able to identify Mr. Harris. They were not able to put Mr. Harris at the scene. There was no identification. The only way that they ended up putting him at the scene is that sometimes later when he came into the convenience store, allegedly, one of the individuals was using a credit card that was from the victim. But that doesn't necessarily put him at the scene. He was just met up with individuals at a later point in time. But the key piece to the evidence, Your Honor, is that the vehicle was never seen anywhere where Mr. Harris was. And that was evident during the cross-examination at the preliminary hearing. I know the charges are serious. My client does not know the victim. What I would be asking the court is for a reasonable bond. I know he has some history, but this is not the case. I would ask the court for a $40,000 good bond.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Judge. Based on the ALA factors, at least until December 1st of 2024, the defendant should not be granted bond for the following reasons: that he is a risk to reoffend, that he is a danger to the community, he is an A and C recidivist here, certainly in Fulton County, has a prior conviction for hijacking in the second degree in Cobb County, has 2 open cases, and is a known gang member. And so, while certainly we have an opportunity to litigate the facts of this current charge, a case before this honorable court, he is not a good candidate for bond until his 90 days are up. Once those 90 days are up, and if his case is not indicted at that time, the state will request that his bond be, in count 1, the hijacking motor vehicle, will be $150,000 cash only, and $10,000 cash only on the remaining charges against him, for a total of $170,000 cash only, Judge. No contact, and any other terms and conditions the court deems appropriate in this matter.
And Judge,
Mr. Ford, is he going to live in the city in Fulton County?
he does not need to live in the city. And Judge, I mean, any conditions you want to put on that bond, he'll be glad to take. This is just not the case where he was seen there. I mean, I understand what Mr. Jenkins is saying, and we go way back, but this is just not the case on identification on this particular case. Regarding the other cases, we'll deal with those as those come up. But the presumption of innocence stays with him throughout this process, and he's presumed innocence, and they're going to have to put him at the scene.
Well, I mean, is he not going to live in the city? Is he going to live in Fulton County, though?
Mr. Harris, give me a thumb up if you have to live in Fulton County. Okay, that's a yes.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 1977 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. That's the Texaco. Also stay away from 3515 Camp Creek Parkway in East Point. No further contact with Lakelia, Lakelia, Marsh, Marsh, and Sakinya, SakiYna, Peets, Peets. No driving unless your bond is modified. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by you, sir, with a 24-hour curfew. The only reason you leave your house is court, lawyer, and medical. That's the absolute only reason you leave your house. Make sure I got everything. I'll do 100,000, 10,000, and 10,000. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ford. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Judge. Have a great holiday, okay?
All right, you too.
You too,
All
Mr.
right.
Jenkins.
All
Good to
right,
see-
Counselor, good to see you.
All right, so I've got Mr. Interpreter, Mandarin interpreter.
Yes, Your Honor. Mandarin interpreter is present.
All right. All right. All right. If you could turn your camera on so I can swear you in.
Yes.
All right. You swear or affirm you'll translate from Mandarin to English, English to Mandarin to the best of your knowledge, skills, and abilities.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right. So right now I've got, let's see, I don't have Lee here. Do I just have Quin Zen? And
She's there, Your Honor.
all right, Mr. Poole,
Judge,
you're
is my client present, Jin P Lee?
not yet.
Okay.
Mr. Poole, does your client need an interpreter?
My client is Mr. Joseph, and he does not need an interpreter. Ms. Zin does, but Mr. Aurora is representing her these days,
Okay.
Judge.
I got you. All right. Position 6, Bostic. All right. So, Mr. Interpreter, if I go too fast, let me know. Bostic, don't forget about the interpreter.
Yes.
It's 24 PI 006 126.
暗号是24-PR 000-126。
It's Quin, Quin, last name Zen, Zhen.
是正清的案子 QINZHEN。
92 days without indictment.
已经92天了，还没有正式起诉。
As of October 14th, there's a $1 million cash bond.
在这个10月14号的时候，给他定了个100万的现金保。
I got violation of the RICO Act.
这个他是说你触犯了这个 RICO 哈，就是这个敲诈勒索腐败组织影响法。
Trafficking for labor and trafficking for servitude.
就是贩卖人口、贩卖奴隶。
Rah.
Only prior arrest is for consultation and keeping a place that was null pros.
唯一以前的记录就是说，以前有保留一个按摩的地方，以前有这么一件事儿，但是后来那个案子撤掉了，没有起诉。
Go ahead, Mr. Aurora. Don't forget about the interpreter.
Yes, Your Honor. As you pointed out, it's been 92 days without arrest. There have been multiple cases involving sort of these massage parlors, and I'll stop there.
就像法官大人您指出的一样，已经92天了，到现在都没有正式起诉，而且现在有很多别的案子也是跟这个按摩院有关的案子。
And we had a full-blown hearing where I've got the transcripts and the issues in the case.
我们这里有这个案子全部的这个案情，还有这个全部的这个当时这个出庭以后的这个记录都在这里。
This case involves 2 victims in their 40s.
这个案子是所谓有2个受害人，都40多岁的人了。
That answered a WeChat advertisement.
他们在那个微信上面看到了一个招工广告，他们来应征。
And then came to Atlanta. They had their cell phones, all that stuff. But
他们来到亚特兰大，他们拿着自己的手机。
and so I think the judge back in October made a tremendous mistake, and it seems almost like it varies dramatically from judge to judge.
我觉得10月份那个法官犯了一个严重的错误，所以法官和法官看起来好像有很大的不同。
Where we were found to have met all the Ayala factors.
我们觉得我们已经达到了所有的这个因素，
But the judge in no way, shape, or form ever considered the ability to pay, which is also a factor when deciding on bond.
可是法官从来在他决定，当时那个法官在决定保释金的时候，他根本就没有想到这个保释金到底能付吗？
And all this is outlined under OCGA 1761E2.
这个是根据乔治亚州法典17611.2条的规定，
which states the court has to consider an accused's financial resources and income in deciding on bond if the ILA factors are met.
这个法律规定，如果他达到了可以有保释金的条件，法庭在定保释金的时候，要考虑到这个人的经济状况和这个人的工作和收入情况。
And to essentially prove the severity or disparity between magistrate judges in Fulton County.
这个从另外一方面证明了 Fulton 郡的这个法官，他们之间有多么大的不同。每一个法官在定保释金的时候。
An unrelated case involving a defendant with the last name Lee L.I.
我给你举个例子吧，另外有一个案子跟这个案子没有关系的，他那个最后那个被告最后那个名字，他姓李 L.I.
24 PI 008235.
他那个案24 PI 008265那个暗号。
That person had identical charges to Miss Zhen. In fact, that person had one additional charge that Miss Zhen doesn't have and received an $80,000 bond, which I've shared on the chat with all the parties.
我现在把他这个人的案子放在那个聊天室，你们都可以看。这个人的案情跟曾女士的那个起诉是一模一样的，完了还比他多一项起诉，那个人2项控罪，结果那个人的保释金定了8万块钱。
Similarly, an unrelated defendant with similar charges with the last name THAO.
同样，另外还有一个案子，也是类似的案子，那个被告的姓是 THAO。
With the case number 24 PI 005598.
那个暗号是20 PI 005598。
Again, the same charges got a $30,000 bond.
那个人跟他的起诉是一模一样的，那个人的保释金只有3万块钱。
So, Your Honor, I'm just trying to, get some competence going here as far as looking at what somebody can pay. And so we're asking for a similar bond in the $80,000 category, ankle monitor, if the court so desires. But I don't want to go through the ILA factors since they've already been met. That's sort of a moot point at this situation, but I would ask for a substantial reduction in bond so we can actually post it. And again, it's been 92 days.
法官那儿已经92天了，都没有正式起诉。我现在就是说，要你考虑一下他能够付保释金的能力。这些相同的案子，这保释金都定得这么低，所以说你能不能给我的当事人定一个保释金，大概就是在8万块左右的这个范围以内的。如果你要他带一个这个脚环，脚上的那个定位器也是没有问题的，他可以带，就是要求你把这个保释金能够大幅度降下来。
So I wrote all that down in my October 15th motion to reduce bond, so I'm not going to repeat it, Your Honor. I would simply just ask you make it somewhat similar so we don't have such drastic variances between judges and how they interpret certain cases. So I would ask for like a $80,000 to $100,000 bond so we can actually post it, not just sit in jail indefinitely.
法官大，我在我的全部的详细的意见，已经在2024年10月15号在写给法庭的这个动议里边都写了，我这里就不再重复了，我只是概要的说一下，希望您能够把他的保释金降到8万、10万这个范围，这样他可以交保释放，而不是在监狱里这样无限期的等下来。另外要您注意到，就是法官和法官之间类似的案子为什么会差得这么远？在定案子的时候，他们对法律的理解为什么会如此的不同？
And so I'll just reserve any time the court will allow me to rebut if the government has any issues with my request.
所以说，对于我这个要求，我现在先保留，等一下，如果政府反对的话，我还要反驳政府，也给我这个时间，所以我现在先说到这里。
All right, go ahead, Mr. Miller.
Miller，
Yes,
请
Your Honor.
说吧。
Yes, Your Honor.
是的吧？
I was unable to see the bond for Mr. Jin P Lee that was reduced to 80,000 with the case number given by counsel.
It's
我没办法看出来，刚才讲的李金平的案子，他把保释金降到8万， 你给我的那个暗号我调不出来。
It's a booking number 2419371, if that helps. I just got this off Odyssey here, Your Honor.
And what's the date on that, counsel?
The date is 11/8/24 when it was filed in.
这是2024年11月8号的。
So, Your Honor, for the case number that's before this court, Mr. Lee has a $1 million bond. 500,000 of that is for the RICO count, and that is a cash bond. So I'm not seeing the 80,000.
It's a different defendant. Lee is
这个不是
not involved in our case. It's identical charges, but it's a different indictment or case altogether.
Okay.
I'm just comparing $1 million by one judge to 80,000 by another judge. Seems quite disparate.
Okay. My apologies, counsel. I misunderstood.
8万，一个是100万，好吗？不是这个李金平，他的也是100万，50块钱的50万的现金，另外50万的就是签字交保那样。
And Mr. Miller, that one is 24 PI 008235.
那个暗号是20 PI 008235那个暗号。
And the second one, Your Honor, just I think I mentioned it, but I'll say it again. His last name is THAO. Again, completely unrelated case, but same charges, I guess, another sting operation. 24 PI 005598. That one's at 30,000.
法官大人，第二个案子哈，我跟你讲的，当然跟这个案子毫无关系，完全另外一个案子，另外一个人24 PI 005598这个案子，那个案子那个姓是 THAO， 这个人只是一模一样的起诉，他拿的保释金是3万块。
So, Your Honor, on this case, Mr. Cain Powell, who's in the case number that was referenced by defense counsel, he is actually connected to this case.
法官大人，他刚才讲的这个人哈，叫 King Paul， 这个人其实跟这个案子是联系的。
And Your Honor, his bond reflects typically his level of possible culpability at this point in time, which is why his bond is $30,000 compared to the other 3 defendants that are on the calendar tonight.
他的这个保释金显示出来他犯罪的严重的程度，所以说他定了3万，但是他跟今天晚上这3个被告的保释金的犯罪的情况是不一样的。
In the other case, Jing Lee, Mr. Miller, that one's 80,000.
Yes, Your Honor, I do see that one. That person is not connected to this case, so I'm not aware of the facts of that case and the circumstances as to why that bond is set at that amount for that particular case.
另外那个案子是经理的，对，是的，法官大人，那个案子是8万块，但是那个案子跟这个案子没有关系，我不知道那个案子的案情，我也不知道为什么那个案子会定了8万块钱。
In terms of a bond reduction, they have been in custody past 90 days with no indictment at this point. It's, I think 92 days at this point, Your Honor.
关于说这个降低保释金的事情，有一点是对的，他们已经关起来被羁押，到现在为止已经超过90天了，还没有被正式起诉，已经92天了。
However, Your Honor, based on the information we received from the detective and the allegations and the complexity of the network involved in these charges, the state does believe that they do pose a danger to the community.
根据我们从这个警察或者侦探那里得到的信息，完了以后，根据这个案子的复杂程度以及他们犯罪网络的复杂程度，所以我认为法官大人，这个案子确实对社区构成一个严重的威胁。
Based on the facts of the case, Your Honor, it did appear that Mr. Cain Powell was renting apartments located throughout the Metro Atlanta area.
根据案情，法官大人，King Paul就是在这个案子里边，他是在亚特兰大各个地方用他的名字来租这个公寓。
And this is where Mr. Joseph and Mr. Quin Zen would use proceeds from commercial sex activities conducted in these apartment complexes in order to pay the rent and to accumulate funds.
这个 Joseph 先生和这个曾青女士用这些，然后从事卖淫活动，完了后得到了收入，他们用这些收入再来付这些公寓的租金。
Mr. Cain Powell was arrested once he became aware of the officer surveillance of these activities. And as he was attempting to flee, that is why he was arrested earlier this year, along with a John who was located in one of the apartments earlier, as opposed to everyone being arrested at one time.
这个 King Paul 今年早些时候被捕的，他当时注意到警察在这个已经监视他了，所以他想逃，结果他被捕了。跟案子里其他人比，他是被捕的是早的。
And also based on the detective surveillance, it also appeared that Mr. Lee was transporting women from the airport to the apartment complexes to work on behalf of Quin Zen and Mr. Joseph.
另外，根据这个警察的这个监控，李先生是从机场把这些女的接了以后送去这些公寓，在这些公寓里为这个 Joseph 和这个曾青两个人从事卖淫活动。
And so, Your Honor, I explained this to show just the level of culpability or alleged culpability with each co-defendant. However, given that they've been in custody for over 90 days without a bond, the state would agree for a bond reduction.
法官大人，我就是给你解释一下，每个人犯罪的这个程度是不一样的，但是我们也知道，他们在这个拘留所里已经待过了超过90天了，到现在为止还没有被正式起诉，所以说我们愿意同意您法官大人可以把他的保释金降下来。
The state would defer to the court as to the amount of the reduction, but would ask that the conditions remain the same.
我们州检察官办公室可以把这个决定权交给法官，您来决定。您愿意减多少，您来决定。但是说这个保释的条件要跟以前是一样的。
And that'll be an ankle monitor.
要带脚环这个定位器。
No contact with the victims or co-defendants.
不可以跟同案犯或者受害人有任何的联系。
We will ask also for a 24-hour curfew.
而且有24小时的宵禁。
And stay away from the incident location.
要远离发生这些事的地方。
Mr. Aurora, is he planning on living in Fulton County? Is she planning on living in Fulton County?
Corey 当事人
Her daughter lives in Sandy Springs. I would imagine that's where she's going to live.
我觉得是 Sandy Spring， 他可能会住在那个地方。
Her daughter's a college student at Georgia State.
他的女儿是 Georgia State 的大学生。
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons.
不可以有毒品、酒精和这个持有武器在保释期间。
Stay away from 814 Roswell Circle.
不可以去814 Roswell Circle 这个地方。
No further contact with first initial M, last name L.I.
不可以跟这个姓 L.I. 名 M 这个人有联系。
No further contact with first initial P, last name Zhao, X-I-A-O.
不可以跟这个名第一个字母是 P， 姓是 X-I-A-O 这个人有任何的联系。
No further contact with the co-defendants. Janette, J-E-A-N-N-O-T, last name Joseph.
不可以跟这个 Joseph 这个人，就是案子里的同案犯有任何的联系。
No further contact with Jin P Lee, J-I-N-P-E-I, last name L-I, that's a co-defendant.
不可以跟案子里的同案犯李金培有任何的联系。
Have an ankle monitor paid for by the defendant.
被告要自己付钱买这个脚环定位器。
With a 24-hour curfew.
24小时的宵禁。
The only reason she leaves her house is court, lawyer visits, or to go to the doctor.
唯一可以离开家里的原因是去法院、去见律师、去看医生，其他时间都要待在自己的房间里边，待在自己屋子里边，
No social media,
不可以上社交软件，
no no communication with any communication apps such as WhatsApp, etc.
不可以使用任何的这个联系的网件应用软件，比如 WhatsApp。
Must surrender a passport to Mr. Aurora upon release.
在释放的时候要把护照交给 Roro 先生。
Your Honor, I don't want to interrupt you. The Roswell police already has her passport and
法
all
官大人，
the
我
other
不敢
documents.
打扰你啊，那个 Roswell 警察已经把他的那个护照拿走了，
All right, well, she's not getting it back. No
好，现在
working,
不会拿回来，不可以拿回来，
no working at a massage parlor or any sort of spa.
不可以在任何的按摩院、三温暖的地方上班，
That includes running or owning.
包括经营也拥有也不可以。
Make sure I got it. No further contact with any other witnesses.
跟其他任何的证人不能有任何的联系。
All right, so I mean, I think $1 million cash is a little stiff.
我觉得100万的现金是有点高，
So 50,000, 50,000, and 30,000.
所以5万、5万、3万。
Best of luck to you, ma'am.
Your
好，
Honor,
好运女士，
Your Honor, is that a regular bond then?
Yeah, it's a good bond.
这是
OK
一个普通的保释金吗？是的，普通保释金。
and Your Honor, for the record, that address is 814 Roswell Creek Lane.
Roswell Creek Lane. I apologize. I can't read my own handwriting.
是814 Roswell Quick Lane 哈，是这个地址哈，我眼睛看不清。
Mr. Dukes, it's Roswell Creek Lane. I just can't read my own handwriting.
不可以去这个
Got it.
Roswell Quick Lane 814这个地址。
Ma'am, you have to keep that ankle monitor charged 24/7. That means that you can barely walk out the front door of where you're going to be staying.
你这个脚环监视器啊，24小时都要充电，一天充7天，一个周充7天，你完全就是不可以出门的，一定要待在屋子里边。
Your Honor, could we have 24 hours to get the ankle monitor so I can use property to bail her out and then get free at last or somebody to put the ankle monitor on?
Yeah, it goes to second chance bail bonds is the ankle
Second
monitor.
chance. Okay.
Right. I think they come to the jail and put it on her though. Don't they do that, Mr. Jenkins? Bostic, do they come to the jail and put them on?
I think so. If you're required to have an ankle monitor, I think they put it on before you're released.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're usually on
法
before
庭要求你要戴那个脚
they,
环
I mean, they can
的话，
can do that,
他
provide
跟
that
法
service.
官讲
Yes.，
会来到连到那个拘留所帮你装上才能被放出来。
That was the prior practice.
All right. I just didn't know how to pay them until she gets out to have a credit
我
card
就
or something.
知道要怎么付
That's
钱
what I，was asking for.
没问题。这是我就是问
Even
这，
12 hours after she gets out, I can get it done.
出来给我12个小时，我们就可以把它装上了。
I'm pretty sure they don't like require money then. They'll probably send a bill, Mr. Rohr. If there's any
他们
problems.
不会收你现金的，一定是给你记账单了。
But we'll figure it out, Judge. Thank you.
All right.
去想吧这个事情。
Thank you. Best of luck to you, ma'am.
好，祝你有最好的运气啊，女士。
All right. Let's see. Thank you, Mr. Rohr.
Right. And if it's all right, I just wanted to see what happens with the co-defendants, if that's okay, since they're all sort of connected.
Sure. Ms. Kim.
好，金女士，
Right. Ms. Kim,
Yes,
I understood
Mr.
you wanted to be in front of another judge instead of me, but let's try this. Let's see if I can make you happy.
I hope so, Judge. I hope so. In the spirit of the holidays.
Position 19, Milton, I'll take this one so that we can get rid of the interpreter and then we'll do the rest to the other two at ACDC.
No problem.
All right. Position 19, Bostic 24 PI 006126. This is Jin P Lee, J-I-N-P,
的案子哈
last name Lee, L-I.
，L.I. 金培 J.I.N.P.E.I. 李金培的案子
92 days without indictment.
也是92天还没有起诉啊。
As of October the 14th, there's a $1 million cash bond.
10月18号的时候给他定了一个100万的现金保释。
trafficking a person for servitude and trafficking a person for labor.
贩运人口做奴工，贩运人口从事这个工作，
Violation of the Georgia RICO Act.
违反了乔治亚州这个敲诈勒索影响腐败组织法。
No priors.
他没有之前没有被捕过，没有任何的犯罪。这个人
All right, go ahead, Ms. Lee.
好，那个
Miss Kim, sorry, Miss Kim.
不是李先生说错了
Fine, Kim Buckley, all fine. Judge, my client is 72 years old.
法官大人，我的当事人已经12岁了。
Judge, he retired 2 years ago.
2年
He's
前
a very limited mean.
他没有什么，
My understanding is he retired from being a cook at a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant. He was there for 25 years. He wasn't a chef, he was a cook. So at this point, he does not have much by way of finances. He does own his home in Norcross, though.
他在 Norcross 有个房子，之前在中餐馆当厨师，当了25年，后来退休了，所以也没有什么钱。
Judge, he's married. He has one son and a granddaughter. They all live with him at his residence in Norcross.
他有结婚，他有一个儿子，一个孙女，他们都跟他一起住在 Norcross 的房子里边。
Judge, he's been a U.S. citizen since 2013. He's more than willing to relinquish his passport to the court if granted hopefully a reasonable bond so that he can get out and get back to his family.
法官大人，他2013年就成为了美国公民，希望他你能够给他一个非常合理的保释金，他能够把保释金付了，回家跟家里人待在一起。如果你能够给他保释金，他保释的话，他会把他的护照交到这个法庭来的。
And Judge, again, as pretrial mentioned, he has no criminal history whatsoever.
就像刚才这个审前办公室讲的一样，他之前没有任何的犯罪记录。
Judge, I am asking if you would give him a hopefully very reasonable bond that he can afford, that he can make.
法官大人，我希望你能够给他一个非常非常合理的保释金，让他能够付得起、付得出这个钱。
And Judge, I understand he's most likely, like everyone else, going to be on ankle monitor in this case.
但是我也理解他很有可能也会要带那个脚环那个监控器。
And I understand that he has to make that monthly payment. I think it's $250, $350, I think, a month for the ankle monitor. I'm asking if you would consider $10,000 on each charge for a total bond of $30,000, something that is attainable, that his family can afford.
法官大人，他如果带了脚环监视器，他一个月这个监视器就要付250到350，所以我要求您能不能给他定保释金，一项是1万，加起来3万，这样他家里看能不能把这个钱凑出来，把他保出去。
Ms.
And the final
Kim,
thing is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Ms. Kim, is he related to one of the alleged victims?
No, he's
他
not.
有没有
He
跟这
doesn't
个
know them.
受害人是有亲戚关系的？没有。
And Judge, I believe on this fact pattern, he's probably low person on the totem pole in terms of the facts, in terms of his role in this.
法官大人，
Allegedly.
在这个案子里面，他是个很低级的，如果说有责任的话，也是个很低级的工作人员，是很小的一个角色。
All right, you ready for the state?
州政府，
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, correct. Mr. Lee's involvement in this matter is alleged to have been transporting women from the airport to these apartments
法
across
官
the
大人，李先生在这个案子里的角色就是从机场把这些女的送到这些公寓里去。
There's also information that alleges that Mr. Lee was also dropping off supplies for these women at the apartments in order to keep the alleged services going. In terms of being the
保
mastermind.
持这些公寓里边的卖淫活动正常进行，他有时候也帮这些女的送一些生活用品。
It's our understanding that he was acting under the direction of the other two co-defendants, Ms. Quin Zen and Mr. Joseph.
所以说，我们的理解是，他是在另外2个这个同案犯的指导之下进行这些事情的，也就是 Joseph 先生 和这个曾青女士。
Given his lack of criminal history and his portion of culpability in this matter, the state would not oppose a reduction for Mr. Lee, Your Honor.
对于这个李先生，根据他以前没有犯罪记录，第二，他在这个案子里所扮演的角色，他的这个犯罪的这个程度，政府不反对法官大人，你把他的保释金能够降下来。
We would ask that the same conditions be set in place as they were for Ms. Quin Zen as well, however, Your Honor, in spite of that reduction.
如果你把他们保释金降下来的话，另外这个相同的保释条件，我们要求也是要一样的，跟这个增清的是一样的。
Miss Kim, was his passport also surrendered to the police?
It
was not.
护照是不是已经交给
It
警
was
察？
not. His son has brought it every single, apologies, his son has brought it in every single time we showed up to court, so I can get that from him tomorrow if he's able to get a bond or as long as he can afford it, hopefully.
法官大人，他儿子每次来上庭的时候都是把他的护照带过来，所以如果明天你帮他定个保释金，他能付得起的话，他儿子来保他的时候，我会叫他把他的护照交给我。
No drugs unless
He-
prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons?
在这个保释期间，不可以有酒精，不可以有毒品，不可以持有枪支和武器。
No further contact with your co-defendants, Quin Zen and Janette Joseph?
不可以跟同案的两个人曾青和 Janette Joseph 有任何的联系。
Also, stay away from 814 Roswell Creek Lane.
另外，不可以再回到814 Roswell Quick Lane 这个地方去。
No working or owning or participating in any type of activity at a massage parlor or spa.
不可以拥有、经营、工作在这个任何的按摩院或者三温暖的场所。
Must surrender your passport to Miss Kim.
要把你的护照交给金女士。
No social media or use of communication apps such as WhatsApp.
不可以使用任何的社交软件或者联络的这个社交软件，比如 WhatsApp。
Apologize, that's Truman in the back barking. All right, let's see.
Your Honor, the state would also ask that he not participate in any rideshare services or provide any taxi services to anyone.
法官大人，政府也要求你要跟他讲，他不可以再去从事任何的用车载人的这种好像出租车的这种服务的性质的这方面的事情。
All right, no participation or use of rideshare services or taxi services with anyone, for anyone.
不可以跟任何人去加盟或者为任何人从事提供出租车类型的服务的事情。
Is he going to live in Fulton County?
他会住在 Fulton 郡吗？
No, Judge, he owns his home in Norcross. Gwinnett.
法官大人，他是有一个房子在 Norcross。
All right, he needs to stay out of Fulton County unless he's here for court or to see his lawyer.
你不可以到 Fulton 郡来，除非你来这里上庭或者来这里见律师。
Sir, you do not come to Fulton County for any reason unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer, period.
先生，你不可以来 Fulton 郡，任何情况下都不可以，除非你是来上庭或者来这里见你的律师。
You're going to have a ankle monitor paid for by you with a 24-hour curfew.
另外，你要带一个脚环哈，脚上的监视器，这个是你要自己付钱的，24小时的宵禁。
The only reason you leave your house is court, lawyer visits, and medical appointments.
你唯一可以离开你房子的只有3件事可以：上法庭、见律师、看医生。
No further contact with first initial M, last name Lee, or P, last name Zhao.
你不可以跟这两个人有任何的联系哈。他的名字的第一个字母是 M， 他的姓是 Li 李，或者第一个名字的拼写是 P， 他的姓是夏 Xiao。
And no other witnesses in this case.
还有其他这个案子里所有其他的这个证人都不能够跟他们联系。
So I'll do a good bond for 50,000, 50,000, and 30,000.
所以说我给你定个保释金是5万、5万、3万。
Thank you, Miss Kim. Best of luck to you, sir.
好，
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
祝你好运，
Yes, ma'am.
金先生
Thank you.
祝你好运，李先生。
Thank you, Mr. Interpreter. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, let's see. Mr. Poole, I'll get to you in just a second. Let me get rid of some of these people at ACDC. All right, Jasmine Worthins. All right, this is number 10, Bostic. Is Miss Guest here? Hold on. Where's Miss Guest? I don't have Miss Guest. Anybody filling in for Miss Guest? All right, stand by. How about Miss Gerber's here, right? Yep. Okay. What about Brianna White? Swap seats because Miss Guest isn't here. All right, Ms. Gerber. All right, this is position 7, Bostic 24, PI 003631, 113 days without indictment. Not sure what I'm doing here unless pretrial came revoked it, because as of May there was a UJR through pretrial level 2 and it's theft by shoplifting felony. I'm assuming pretrial came off of it. I see there's a pending ex parte, Ms. Gerber. Is that still pending?
No, Your Honors. It was returned as competent, and pretrial has not surrendered the bond in Odyssey. She just on this failure to appear warrant. It's a little bit of a unique circumstance since the bond isn't surrendered. I would ask that Your Honor essentially quash the warrant as defective. The warrant alleges a failure to report to pretrial, but not a missed court date. The 17790, which governs the bench warrants, allows for 3 different reasons for a bench warrant. Most of them require a failure to appear at a court date. And so now that she has been found competent, we would argue on her behalf that the warrant as alleged is ineffective because it does not allege a missed court date.
All right, let's hear from Bostic. Pre-trial.
Judge, but she had pretrial on this case?
Yeah, there was a pretrial level 2 in May 23rd of 93, but I have something here that says that you guys may have came off of it or revoked.
Let me go and see. Probably so, because she might have case notes. 2, 3. Nope, 2, 4. 2, 4, 1, 3. Oh, sorry. That job. Contacts. Case closed. Oh, she never reported.
Right, that's what you're saying. Did y'all come off the bond? What'd y'all do?
We probably did a bench warrant. We did a bench warrant because she didn't report.
All right, so that's what they said. Ms. Gerber, so why didn't she report?
Your Honor, my understanding is that she's unhoused, but we would persist in our argument that it's an ineffective bench warrant at this point in time. It's the only thing holding her in jail. She's been in for 135 days. The state hasn't indicted it. It was dismissed for want of prosecution initially when the case came up. I mean, she's in a position where she just does not have a place to live. She was evaluated for Women on the Rise, and they declined to assist her. And I just found out about that last week. So she is going to be relying on the help of shelters for the next couple of weeks here, but she is able to do that going forward, and she has been found competent. So we would ask you to, since the bond has not been surrendered, we'd ask for you to dismiss that bench warrant.
Well, so let me ask you a question, Ms. Gerber. If she's going to be without housing, how's she going to show up this time?
Well, Your Honor, I think I would imagine that if the state has not indicted it, I am hopeful that they will just decline to prosecute a cocaine possession charge and that she won't have to show up. I think she understands that she needs to keep in contact with our office to learn about her next court dates. But unfortunately, there comes a point in time where if the organizations in the community can't offer support, it's on her to just keep in touch with the court about court dates and ask the clerk for updates about court dates of her own volition. But I think I have serious constitutional concerns about holding someone who is now competent without a bond for not missing a court date.
Mr. Jenkins, I mean, I'm not one to set her up for failure and put her back in pretrial if she's not going to be able to.
Your Honor, I'm not asking for her to return to pretrial. I'm just asking for the warrant to be dismissed.
All right, what bond are you asking for?
I'm not asking for a bond. I'm literally asking for it to just be quashed, actually.
Okay, so if the bench warrant's quashed, then you still have the charges pending under no bond status.
The bond was not surrendered.
You don't understand,
Surrendered by the
obviously,
bench
what the
warrant.
judge is asking you, counsel. Is there a bond set on the case, to your knowledge, counsel?
She's not being held on the case. She's not booked in on the case.
She's not booked in on theft by shoplifting? That's on the calendar today.
No, she is booked in on. I'm looking at Odyssey.
This is a theft by shoplifting felony.
In
24 PI 003631.
We clearly work with her, but I don't understand what you're saying, counsel.
The case number that I have listed is the failure to appear. 24 FTA 001 024. And then the authority next to it is the 3631. There's not a bond surrender. If there is bond surrender paperwork, then if there's bond surrender paperwork, is there bond surrender paperwork? I guess maybe that's a better question.
So Ms. Gerber, here you go. You put her back in pretrial, she can't report. There'll be another FTA and she can't report, and it'll be another bond surrender. There'll be another bench warrant. What bond could she make? I'm going to set her up for failure if I put her back in pretrial.
Your Honor, she's been in for 133 days. I mean, she can't make a bond. That's kind of what. That's
100. I got 113.
Excuse me, 113 days. Yeah. And so I just without a bond surrender on it,
Bostic, did y'all surrender the bond?
We did a bench warrant, Judge.
Mr. Jenkins,
Due to the fact for her not.
This is the circumstance. I'm not opposed to giving her another opportunity. If these charges, she's competent right now, doesn't mean she isn't going to get charged eventually. But I have no objection for her being on pretrial if they'll give her another opportunity. I don't know what else to say in that, she's competent now. Hopefully they can maybe give her some medication, gets released, and see if she's able to report. If not.
But an FTA was done for failure to report, but a bench warrant would have been done due to the fact she was also picked up on new charges that she received time served on for criminal trespass, PI, obstruction, and pedestrian in the roadway, 630. The bench warrant was actually, let me see, when was it actually signed? The bench warrant was actually signed in July.
And so I guess the position we're in is that, the pretrial, it's really like a violation of a bond condition. And the remedy that the remedy that pretrial has is to come off the bond or to ask the judge to pursue like violation of a bond condition, like violation of a court order that way. But since there's not a bond surrender, we would assert that there's no basis to continue holding her, and would certainly ask for, I think a UJR would be appropriate. If the court's not inclined to.
There you go. All right, let's see. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Let's see. Random drug screens for 30 days after release. Stay away from 3695 Cascade Road. UJR through pretrial. Level 2. Best of luck to you.
I asked you not to put her back on pretrial services. Just UJR jail.
Well, then we want, how about How about $100 through the sheriff's 10% program?
It's the same thing. She's not gonna be able to afford it, and that's still pretrial services.
Well,
Just
she-
UJR jail.
Your Honor, I
Mr.
think-
Jenkins.
I have no objection to that, Judge.
All right, UJR jail. Ma'am, you better do what you gotta do. Best of luck to you, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Gerber. Let's see. All right, Jennifer Norton. Can anybody get in touch with Shannon Guest?
Yeah. Yes, Judge, I spoke with her. She said that she thought someone was covering for her, but she'll hop on.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's see. So we got Jennifer Norton, position 17 and 18, Bostic, 24 PI 004, 814, 139 days without indictment, $19,000 good bond as of October 30th. Then we got 24 PI 004, 815, 139 days without indictment, $19,000 good bond as of October 30th. Got one count of armed robbery, and the first one was hijacking a motor vehicle, first degree. Wow.
She has a hold in Marietta for robbery 7/10/24, 6 cycles of terroristic threats in 2018. First offender sealed in 22, open case 24 PI 004816 for theft by conversion, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Gibson.
Yes, Judge, it's Miss Knowlton. She is 37 years old, born and raised in the Atlanta area. She does have a good address where she lives with her 4 children in Clayton County. And she has an 8 and 11-year-old that really need her back home. The 11-year-old suffers autism and requires a lot of care by Miss Knowlton. And that child has since been left in the care of her 17 and 19-year-old, as well as her grandmother, Miss Banks. So with her ties to the community, she is not at risk to flee, especially considering she will have to go to this hold in Cobb and answer for that prior to ever going home, which is why we will be asking for a considerable reduction in her bond today so that she can get started on handling that Cobb hold, since it's been 139 days without indictment and with a bond that she cannot afford. Miss Knowlton is a high school graduate. She went to the Everett Institute and is still going there trying to get her medical assistancy certificate. She works at UPS off Fulton Industrial. She's been there for over 5 years. She also does DoorDash and works seasonally at Spring Halloween just to make extra money for her family. I do believe that the evidence will later show that Miss Knowlton was not involved in these incidents in the way that the police reports allege. I would ask that her bond be reduced on each position to $5,000 respectively. So $10,000 total, $5,000 on position ending in 4814 and $5,000 on position ending in 4815, so that she can be transferred to Cobb County to then deal with her hold there.
All right, 4 South, booth 3, set up straight. 4 South, booth 3, set up straight. We're not sleeping. Go ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
Very briefly, Judge, we request that you deny defense counsel's motion in this case. Position 17 and 18, she already has a bond. We believe it's reasonable with the assertion of the type of offenses, that one being a capital case and the other being a serious violent felony, that she has an active hold in Cobb. And so as her bond, and she has one, is appropriate, we request you deny defense counsel's motion at this time. No reason to reduce it.
Position 17 ending in 4814. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons, no driving unless your bond is modified. Stay out of Fulton County. The only reason you darken the doors of Fulton County is quarter to see your lawyer. Absolutely no other reason to come to Fulton County. Stay away from 1500 Riverwood Lane in Roswell, Georgia, which is in Fulton County, so you shouldn't have a problem with that. You have a 24-hour curfew. The only reason you leave your house is court, lawyer, or medical. And that's medical for you or your children. No further contact with Isaiah Madison or Frederick Jackson. Isaiah Madison or Frederick Jackson. $15,000 good bond. On position 18 ending in 4815. No drugs unless prescribed. No alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. No further contact with Lucien Octavian, Octavien. Stay away from 895 Holcomb Bridge Road. Stay stay away from your co-defendants, Isaiah Madison, Raymond Madden. No driving unless your bond is modified. Stay out of Fulton County. The only reason you darken the doors of Fulton County is quarter to see your lawyer. Don't get gas, don't get snacks, anything. All right, you have a 24-hour curfew. The only reason you leave your house is court, lawyer, medical for you or your children. $12,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Miss Guest is here, so back to Jasmine Worthin. Thank you, Miss Guest.
Judge,
Yes, ma'am.
that concludes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Gibson. It's been a pleasure.
Of course. I hope to see you in live court soon.
You will. Thank you.
All right.
All right, position 10, 24 PI 006041, 95 days without indictment. As of 9/11, there's a $30,000 straight bond on aggravated assault. Wow.
Judge, in regards to Miss Worthin's 16 cycles, misdemeanor violence, simple battery in 2019, simple battery in 21, battery family violence in 21. There's a Sharon Worthin and a Tamika Jackson are victims. There's a simple battery criminal trespass in 24, 7/30, 24, 12 months. There's a criminal damage to property in 21, first offender sealed in 24, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Miss Guest.
Yes, Your Honor, and I apologize about my tardiness. I thought that someone was going to be covering for me, but Mrs. Worthin is 29 years old, and she does have a valid address where she would reside. That is an Atlanta address, Your Honor. That's an address where she would live with her mother. We would ask that any stayaways from the county of Fulton County be lifted, Your Honor, as Mrs. Worthin would only have that address to go to that is in Atlanta, Georgia with her mother. She's a lifelong resident of the Atlanta area. Since being in jail, she has lost the job that she originally had. She did work in the service industry prior to being incarcerated, but does believe that if she's able to get a bond that she can make, that she would be able to return back to that line of work. She's graduated the 12th grade, and prior to this incident, she was trying to obtain her cosmetology degree. Currently, she did not know the alleged victim. I believe that this is an incident that occurred at a room home that she was at, Your Honor. So there's no issues with staying away from the victim or the alleged incident location, Your Honor. I believe it was a woman on the rise location, but Mrs. Worthins does not need to return back to that incident location. She does presume her innocence and does believe that if these allegations are to be found out to be true, she does have a self-defense element to this charge, Your Honor. We're asking that the bond be reduced to $15,000 at this time.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Judge. Very briefly, we request that you deny defense counsel's motion at this time. We believe the bond that she has is appropriate, given the defendant's criminal history in connection with crimes of violence, though being misdemeanors. She also has pled guilty to two offenses, two cases here in Fulton County this year in state court. We believe she is a danger to the victim in this case, alleged in this matter, to the rooming house, the location of this incident in and of itself. And she's likely to reoffend that. And she caught this case, though there are allegations in August. Will be, if she were to plead guilty in this case, it would be a third conviction here in Fulton County this year. And so as such, Judge, the bond, $30,000 is appropriate. Thank you, Judge.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 5735 Stonewall Tail Road in Atlanta, Georgia. Does she have any items there that she needs an escort to go back?
No, Your Honor, she does not need to go back to that location.
All right, no further contact with Tawana, Tujuana Casson, Casson, and no further contact with Tawana Casson or Evelyn Anderson. All that is common spelling. Ma'am, you have a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical. That's the only reason you leave your house. Court, lawyer, medical. $25,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Guest. All right, let's see. Miss Kinnebrews not here yet. Marietta, all right, we'll take you. What about, let's see, do I have Joseph, Janette? Nope.
And Your Honor, that matter would be more of a consent, just to mirror the Quin Zen's bond, which is the 50, 50, and 30 with
All
the
right.
same
Is
conditions.
he here? Joseph, Janette, wave your hand. He's not here. Are you okay with that, counsel?
I am, Judge. Mr. Miller and I have negotiated that sort of after further
After I've rattled
consideration.
off the other two. All right. So
and
for
so-
24 PI 006126, Janette Joseph, it will be no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 814 Roswell Creek Lane. No further contact with M. Lee or P. Zhao. There'll be a 24-hour curfew. The only reason he needs to leave his house is court, lawyer, or medical. Also, let's see, no working at massage parlors, visiting massage parlors, or anything to do with massage parlors or spas. He have an ankle monitor paid for by him with that 24-hour curfew. Let's see, no using social media or any communications app, as in WhatsApp. Where's he going to live?
The address I've got for him, Your Honor, is in Fulton County. But he'll live wherever Your Honor tells him to. The address I've got is 1006 Applegate Drive in Roswell, 30076.
All right, and he has to surrender his passport if he has one to you. Let's see, no further contact with any of the victims or any witnesses. He can surrender his passports to Mr. Blake Poole. And no further contact with Quin Zen or Jin P. Lee. I think I got everything. I think no social media. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. So it'll be 50, 50, and 30, Mr. Dukes. 50, 50, and 30, good bond. Thank you, Mr. Poole.
Thank you, Judge. That concludes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
And Your Honor, that also includes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good one, Mr. Miller.
You as well, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Gregory Smith, wave your hand. Gregory Smith. We don't have Gregory Smith yet. What about Curtis Perry? Wave your hand if you're Curtis Perry. All right, wave your hand if you're Xavier Thompson. Nope. Wave your hand if you are Donique Woolard. There we go. Keep your head up, sir. All right, Bostic, this is position 14 and 15. There you go, Ms. Goodman. We got 14, 24 PI 003803. As of October the 1st, there's a $2,200 good bond. BGCSA, possession of methamphetamine, possession of drug-related objects, giving false information, law enforcement officer. 141 days without indictment. Got 24 PI 004794, 141 days without indictment. $21,000 good bond on aggravated assault, criminal trespass, and damage to property. Wow.
3 cycles in New York, 4 in Georgia, criminal trespass in 22. There's 11 counts of burglary in the second sentence. 11/20/23, 1 year confinement, 4 years probation. 23 SC 186812. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Goodman. Goodman.
That's okay, Judge. Thank you. Mr. Willer is age 31. He currently resides with his uncle, but we just got him placed with PAD into sober living of America program. He is employed. He was working with his uncle doing culinary, like assisting him with like his culinary arts. He also attended college for 2 years for culinary arts studies, and currently he's been in jail now for, as you said, 141 days. And he also has mental health issues. He has health issues, I'm sorry, which includes like diabetes. He has a heart disease, and none of this is like conducive for being in jail. He need to get his medication. We are asking that the UJR we are asking for that the UJR pretrial level 3 be reinstated for the possession of meth, the possession and use of drug-related objects, and the giving false information, especially since he's been in jail for 141 days now. And then we ask for the case ending in 4794, we ask that the aggravated assault be reduced to $15,000, and then for the criminal trespass and damage to property, we ask that also be reduced to to $1,000.
Where is he going to live? In Fulton County?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, briefly, Judge, we request that you deny defense counsel's motions, both on positions 14 and 15. The defendant has bond in both. We believe those bonds are appropriate given his 2023 conviction for felonies. The allegations in position 15 are serious. The victim in this case allegedly lost consciousness as a result of the strangulation. As a matter of fact, the fingerprints, the defendant left his fingerprints in connection with his hands in the allegation in this case. And so, based on that, he is not a good candidate for a reduction in bond in these matters. And that's our position. Thank you, Judge.
All right, position 14 ending in 3803. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 760 Dunlop Way in Atlanta, Georgia. So I got 1500, 100, and 100. On position 15 ending in 4794. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 4872 West Park Circle. You have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. You have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. I'll do 17,000 and then 500. 17,000 and 500. No further contact with Aramus, AIRAMUS, Davenport. Common spelling for Davenport. Best of luck to you, sir. I'm pretty sure she doesn't want you talking, sir. Best of luck to you.
I'm gonna come visit you, okay? You can let me know. Okay.
All right,
Thank you, Your
ma'am.
Honor.
All right, now do I have Keith Berry?
And I'm sorry, Your Honor. It's okay if I
Yes,
could
ma'am.
maybe
Thank
excuse.
you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, Keith Berry, number 4, Bostic 24, PI 006 559, 76 days without indictment. No bond as of September the 9th. Ag assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, use of a firearm by a convicted felon, and criminal trespass. I'm sorry, that's a split bond of 1,000. There's 1,000 on the criminal trespass.
Hold for an FTA that's old. Well, both of the holds are old. 4 years and 6 years old. One from Toledo for weapons. Out of Ohio, there's 15 cycles. There's having a weapon in 2019, having a weapon and cocaine in 2019. DUI, O capital CWAT from 04. In Georgia, there's 15 cycles, history of probation violations, FTA in 22. Louisiana, there's 1 cycle. There's, okay. And then he's on probation, 20 SC 179976, Schedule 2, Schedule 4, firearm by, firearm during in 21. Then 22 SC 182 437. I think that's aggravated assault, firearm during. 1 year confinement, 5 years probation consecutive. Then there's ag assault in 23. Then probation 22 SC 184295, ag assault, family violence, 1 year confinement, 5 years probation. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Showalter.
Okay, so Keith Berry, 33 years old. His address is 2328 Campbellton Road, Atlanta, apartment C2. That is where he resides with his wife and kids. He's been in Georgia for the past 5 years, and he was previously working at Peachtree Publishing, doing warehouse work, that's forklift driving and such. They ship children's books to schools and libraries. He has a year of college from back when he was in Ohio. He has 6 kids. They live with him. They're ranging from a few months old to 13 years old. And I think I should make that 7. He tells me he's got a newborn now, 6 or 7, but one's a newborn. The wife, she has to take the baby to her work because they don't have daycares that will take somebody that's that young. They don't take newborns. And so his wife works as a healthcare provider. However, so this goes to the difficulty. He was confiding this to me as to why he wants to get out. His wife does not drive. She's having to take Marta and the cold weather with the newborn. If he was out, he would be able to help take care of the kids and work and do that, provide for the family. And so I'm asking, especially with the holiday season coming up here, to grant him a bond, give him a low bond. I'm asking for 2,000 on the first charge, 1,000 on 2, 1,000 on 3, and a UJR on the fourth charge.
So I've got that he's allegedly shot at the victim's car. I don't know if the victim was shot or not. Ms. Rhodes, have you had contact with the victim?
Just factually, no, that isn't part of the fact pattern. The complainant was not injured.
All right. Ms. Rhodes, did you have any contact?
No, Your Honor, we did a victim locate.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, thank you, Judge. We request that you deny defense counsel's motion. First, the state would request that this defendant stay in no bond status, will split bond status, no bond on the felonies until December 6th upon his 90 days. Unfortunately, this defendant is a multi-state felony offender, certainly an AAC recidivist here in the state of Georgia. Crimes of violence, weapons, both in the state of Ohio and here in Georgia. The defendant, unfortunately, is a danger to the victim in this case. The defendant is the danger to the community. And so, as such, Judge, on the 90th day, and he has not been indicted, state's requesting on count 1, $100,000 cash only. On counts 2 and 3, the weapons charges, $15,000 cash only, and $1,000 on the criminal trespass, for a total of $130,000 cash only. No contact. He banned from the shooting location. Certainly 24-hour curfew and any other terms and conditions the court deems appropriate in this case. But this defendant, unfortunately, has a very serious history of violence and is a danger to the community. Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Showalter, is he going to live in Fulton County?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 2343 Campbellton Road, Southwest. No further contact with Maurice Hooks and Shaman Chan, SHAMINCHAN. They have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, and medical. Court, lawyer, and medical is the only reason you could leave your house, sir. 100,000, 20,000, 20,000, good bond. 100, 20, and 20. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Your Honor, he has 4 charges. So
I'm sorry, and then 1,000 on the criminal trespass. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Miss Gasly, I still got Miss Guest. What about Xavier Thompson? Wave your hand if you're Xavier Thompson. Do you see Xavier Thompson, Miss Guest?
He's in ACDC, Your Honor, and
right.
I
don't know who's in 6 North. Who is that? Let's see. Are you?
That's Cain Moore, Judge, in 6 North. It's listed as Nelson Rhodes' client. It's position 3. It is actually my client.
Oh, it's your client, Cain
Yes,
Moore.
Judge.
Cain Moore, wave your hand. All right, we got you. All right, it's 24 PI 006 434, 81 days without indictment, $40,000 good bond as of October the 16th. 1 count of aggravated battery, 1 count of kidnapping. Cain Moore, Georgia, 15 cycles, Alabama, 2 cycles. Purchase, possession, manufacturing, old first offender, old obstruction, history of probation violation, open case 24 PI 003453, controlled substance, schedule 2, misdemeanor possession, nothing further. All right, go ahead, Mr. Dobbs.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Moore has been in Fulton County Jail on these charges for 81 days. If released, he would reside at 9995 Old Dogwood Road in Roswell, Georgia, with his mother, Patricia Steele. He's a lifelong resident of the at Atlanta Metro area. He's lived here his whole life. He has several kids who live locally. Judge, he has caught cases in this jurisdiction before, but there's no indication from Bostic's reading of his criminal history that he is a flight risk. There's no indication from this case that he is such. I think it is overwhelmingly likely from all the indicators we have that Mr. Moore will return to court to answer these charges. It's clear in the warrant for this case, Judge, that the alleged victim did tell law enforcement that a Hispanic male was the assailant in this case. This is not an evidentiary hearing, and I'm not going to get into that any further. But I mention it just to simply state that we have something in this case that we do want to approach and get to, but we have not fully been able to because the case is still indicted. So Mr. Moore is legally innocent, and we understand what the accusations and the charges are, but he is legally innocent and unable to assert a defense that he is eager to assert. So he asks the court to consider that. His bond currently stands with the two charges at I believe $40,000. We're asking for a reduction from that $40,000 to $15,000 aggregate. Like I stated, he'll be residing with his mother on Old Dogwood, which I believe is in Fulton County. We simply ask that if the court does put a ankle monitor condition on the bond, that it be county paid, as he is a public defender client. Thank you.
Mr. Dobbs, I have that as the incident location and the victim, Shirley Esther.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Judge. I got things mixed up there. So I guess that's the motel where the allegations are alleged to have occurred. So we assume that there will actually be a stay away order from that address, Judge. I mixed up the incident location and where he would be residing. He would actually be residing at 1301 Joseph E. Boone with his mother, Patricia Steele. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, Judge. We request that you deny defense counsel's motion for a bond reduction in this case. And to be quite frank, I think the bond is a little light with the history of repeated violations of probation, his prior criminal history, the fact that at least 4 months prior to this incident, he was arrested for an open case back in May. And the allegations in this case are very serious and such. The bond is appropriate at this time, Judge, and we request that you deny defense counsel's motion. He essentially put the victim in an ICU, and this is serious physical injury. And so that's our position at this case, Judge. Thank you.
Any contact with the victim?
It doesn't appear so based on our notes, Your Honor. At this point in time, I think both the defendant and the victim in this prior to this may be transient or frequently move, at least in the area, based on the location of this incident. And of course, unfortunately, the victim was, and what we have in many cases, was trying to shield this defendant. And of course, the defendant, and this, we can't, litigate the case, but wasn't certainly upfront with the police in this matter. They had to investigate and saw the video as to what actually happened in this matter. And we have our charges here before you. So I'm not going to make any other allegations, but I think there's more afoot than just aggravated battery and kidnapping. But that's not for us to discuss tonight.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. No further contact with Shirley Esther, E-S-T-H-E-R. No further contact with your alleged co-defendant, Stephon Thomas, S-T-E-P-H-O-N. Stay away from 9995 Old Dogwood Road in Roswell, Georgia. Let's see, you have a 24-hour curfew, sir. Court, lawyer, medical is the only reason you need to leave your house. Court, lawyer, medical. So 25,000, 14,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Mr. Jenkins, everybody, all rise. We have Judge Robert McBurney here. Judge McBurney.
Judge McBurney, good Well, good evening, actually.
The Judge McBurney who did serve one night on night court.
That's right. I had the honor and the privilege. And I don't mean to interrupt proceedings. I see there's still several gentlemen at ACDC and someone at Marietta Annex. But I did want to express the appreciation and the admiration of the entire Superior Court bench for the continued work that we have received from all our partners. Judge Manning spearheading it from the bench. We've got folks from the sheriff's office in all the facilities. We have public defenders and prosecutors. We've got people from pretrial and probation, et cetera, all of whom give of their time beyond the regular hours to make this work. The efforts of night court have reduced backlogs and have, for people who were appropriately qualified, they've obtained their liberty sooner, which is what we all ought to be focused on. Anyone sitting in jail right now on new charges is there with the presumption of innocence in their favor. That doesn't mean that bond is automatic, but it certainly means it's dialogue that we ought to have frequently and or at least soon after they go into custody. And your efforts have enabled that to happen. So it's refreshing to see someone as senior as Mr. Jenkins giving up his time and all the, as I said, prosecutors and public defenders. This is above and beyond. I know you don't get overtime, but this has been a phenomenal piece of work over many, many, many months, and it has made a significant difference in our ability to move cases forward. Tonight is the final night. If I could, I would pass virtually a glass of champagne to each of you, except for those of you in custody, not allowed to have that. But should you get released tonight, it would be one on me if you made it to the local bar, assuming Judge Manning gave you a condition where you're allowed to go to a bar. Make sure you comply with your conditions. But I just want to thank everyone. I see we've got someone from Court Watch on here. I hope you spread the word, Ms. Robinson or Mr. Robinson, that night court is a pretty special project where we get people to work after hours with a focus on making sure we're paying attention to due process. And that doesn't mean everyone should get a bond, but it means people should be heard on that important question. And you all have made that possible. Thank you, Ms. Lewis and Ms. Gaston, for shepherding all this along and for making it possible.
Is that even a thank you to Bostic, though, Judge McBurney?
Hey, I want to thank everyone, and I appreciate it. Definitely Bostic, but we couldn't do it without all these different pieces. And I know the sheriff's not even allowed to pay overtime anymore. So I don't know what we call it, comp time or something like that. But you are all appreciated. A colleague of mine meant to be here as well, but is late. You guys should be not at work right now, and you are. And thank you for that. It is not unnoticed. And this has been super important. I won't repeat myself anymore. I'll just wish you the best. If I can ever help with anything, let me know. My court's usually closed by 5, but I'm here in my office. So I look forward to working with some of you in the future. Thank you, Judge Manning, for letting me interrupt. I know you guys have a few more things to do, and I don't mean to make you even later. But I did want you to hear from our bench our message of gratitude and appreciation.
That's okay. From what I understand, though, Judge McBurney, we're still going to be done sooner than you were the night that you filled in.
Well, I never promise to move as efficiently as you. You know, I am long-winded, and it's hard for me to make decisions, but you guys did great. And thank you, Mrs. Robinson, for making it clear where you fall on that spectrum. All right, everyone, I'm checking out. I'll go pick up my kid from baseball practice, but thank you for what you do.
All right, Judge. Take care.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, Judge.
All right, we got Xavier Thompson.
What position is that, Your Honor?
This is position number 9.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, this is Ms. Guest still here? Yep. All right, Ms. Guest, 24 PI 006035, 95 days without indictment. There is a $3,600 good bond as of 9/11/2024. Possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, theft by receiving stolen property.
Judge, in regards to Mr. Thompson, 6 cycles, disorderly conduct conviction, 3/22/24 for 12 months. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Guest.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Thompson is 25 years old, and he doesn't have a valid address that he would reside. That's in Riverdale, Georgia. It's not in the metro area of Fulton County, but he would be resided, as I stated, in Fulton County by way of Riverdale, Georgia, where he would reside with his parents. He has been in the Atlanta area for the last 10 years. Prior to being incarcerated, he was gainfully employed and he worked as a in a restaurant locally in the Atlanta area. But since he's been incarcerated, he has lost that particular job position, but does believe that given the opportunity to get a bond that he actually can make, he would be able to go back to that line of work. Currently, he prior to being incarcerated, he was working on obtaining Social Security disability due to some mental health issues that he has, Your Honor, but has not been successful in that, but does believe that he, once he is out of custody, that is something that he's hopeful to also make some strides in. He's graduated from the 12th grade. And we're asking also, since he's been incarcerated, he has been able to obtain his mental health medication. If it's possible, if any release orders that the court deems appropriate, we would ask that they also include a 30-day supply of his mental health medications that he has been receiving from the jail, Your Honor. We're just asking that the court considers placing a bond slightly lower than what Mr. Thompson currently has on these charges. He has been actively working with PAD. He's actually has been telling the jail staff that he too wants to work with PAD, not because he has housing issues, but he does prior to this incident where he would be residing with his parents until he gets PAD underway. He's looking to actually be on his own and be able to work and live as a adult individual without the support of his parents. But he does believe that PAD would assist him with that, and we are in coordination with our legal specialists and social workers to assist him in that as well. We're just asking that the court considers possibly a UJR for the marijuana charge, Your Honor, and we're asking if the court would consider a reduction to $1,500 for the theft by receiving stolen property charge, Your Honor.
Sir, is where you're going to live in Riverdale? Is that in Fulton County? Thumbs up or thumbs down? All right. Go ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
Judge, we'll just leave it in your discretion. His bond is already relatively low, and so these are nonviolent offenses in this case, and so we'll leave it in your discretion. Certainly have no contact with the victim in this case in connection with the theft by receiving charge, and that no violations of the law. I think what would be helpful to him, an ankle monitor, in this case, and the terms and conditions you believe would be appropriate, certainly to maintaining his mental health medication if he were to be released at some point, whether the bond stays as is or is reduced, Judge. Thank you.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 4505 Best Road. Stay away from, that's Atlanta Fine Motors, and anybody that works at Atlanta Fine Motors. No driving unless your bond is modified. We'll do it, and you'll have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, or medical. That's the only reason you can leave your house, sir, court, lawyer, or medical. That also includes going to your Social Security disability hearing. UJR jail and $1,500. UJR and $1,500. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Let's see.
And Your Honor, that concludes my matters with the court. May I be excused for the final time for night court?
Absolutely, but I'm gonna see you during the daytime.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you so much.
Is anybody covering for Miss Kennebrew?
Judge, I don't think so. I don't know how to proceed from here, but I have contacted her and not received a response at this time.
All right, yeah, I think Bostic has texted her too and called her. All right, what about Gregory Smith?
Ready for that one.
All right, number 13, 24 PI 006142, 90 days without indictment as of, see, September the 13th. There is a $2,000 split bond on obstruction, possession of cocaine, and possession of drug-related objects. Wow.
7 cycles, open case, 24 PI 0061 5-6 burglary, 2 counts. 24 PI 006142 obstruction felony cocaine drug related objects. 24 PI 001999 burglary criminal trespass damage. 24 PI 001998 burglary second criminal trespass obstruction currently on probation. Robbery, 3 counts. 15 SE 137609 sentence 8, 12, 16, 5 years confinement, 5 years probation. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Dobbs.
Thank you, Judge. On that probation case, Mr. Smith recently did have court, and he received a sentence of 4 months and 15 days. I believe he has a release date on that of early next year in January, based on when he had the court date. He has a $2,000 bond on this case. He has another open matter, as mentioned by Bostic, with a $4,000 bond. My goal here is to get the bond at $5,000. His total bond on aggregate on both cases, even though I'm only going to be addressing bond on one, to $5,000 or less, so that if his matter is not moved forward by the state by the time he is released on his probation sentence, then he will be eligible for bail assistance, because it's very unlikely that anyone is going to post bond for Mr. Smith. He's a lifelong resident of the city of Atlanta. He's 29 years old. If released, he would reside with his mother, Irene Smith, at 1901 Sweetbriar Circle. He has 3 siblings, all of which live locally. At the time of his arrest, he was working in a home in improvement. He is a graduate of Tri-Cities High School. He has no FTAs, and he has no FTAs as listed from pre-trial, so he is likely to return to court. He does have a UJR already on the drug related objects. We're asking for that to remain unchanged. I'm asking for a reduction on both of the other charges from $1,000 to $500 each, for a total aggregate bond on this case of $1,000. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
Because of the amount, thank you, Judge. We request that you deny defense counsel's motion while this bond is relatively low in this matter based on the charges. Unfortunately, because he has a lot of contact with our justice system and has open cases, he is unfortunately likely to reoffend. And as such, Judge, we believe that the bond reduction request is not appropriate in this matter. It should stay as is, and that's our position, Judge. Thank you.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 1193 Lee Street Southwest. No further violent contact with any law enforcement officer, which should be common sense, but I'm also going to put it in your bond order just to remind you. All right, 1,000, then 500 in UJR jail. We can also do it through the 10% shares program or a good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. Curtis Perry.
Thank you, Judge. That concludes my business. My please be excused.
Yes, sir. See you in person next time.
Thank you. See you in person.
So, Mr. Hutchinson, Miss Kennebrews not here. People have tried to get in touch with her. I don't know what to tell you, except for you still have the $50,000 good bond. Okay, so that's it. Sorry, Marriott Annex. Somebody's tried to get in touch with Miss Kennebrew. Thank you, sir. All right, Curtis Perry. Position 16, last one, Bostic. Take us home. 24 PI 004695, 144 days without indictment. $8,000 good bond as of October the 1st. Fleeing, attempting to elude, willful obstruction, reckless driving, and willful obstruction. Pre-trial.
In regards to Curtis Perry has a hold in Barnesville for probation violation 6/27/24. 1 arrest in Illinois that was no prize. 15 cycles out of Georgia, FTA in 24 and 06 history of probation violation. Conviction is 1 of 4 during the first degree and 09. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Showalter.
Curtis Perry, 38 years old. He's a Georgia native. He would be residing with his father at 118 Creekside Drive, Thomaston, Georgia, 30286. I haven't heard of that, so I think it's outside of Fulton.
Upson County, down in, a little south of here.
Okay, so he went to high school in Upson County. He also went to college, business management. He owns a mobile detailing business as well as landscaping and irrigation. Let's see. So he's got a bond of $8,000, and let's see what it is. I'll ask the court for 1,000 on each charge, and the ones that are already at 1,000, the VGCSA and obstruction, to be down to 500 each.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, Judge. Thank you. We request that you deny defense counsel's motion. We believe the bond is appropriate as is. Unfortunately, the defendant has a history of FTAs here in the state of Georgia, does have a felony conviction, though not a crime of violence. And currently, I believe they said there was a hold out of Barnesville, Georgia. And so, as such, Judge, she is not a good candidate for a reduction. 8,000 is good bond is appropriate at this time. Thank you, Judge.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. No driving unless your bond is modified. Stay away from 3114 Collier Drive Northwest. Stay out of Fulton County, sir. The only reason you darken the doors of Fulton County's court are to see your lawyer. Absolutely no other reason. You come to court, don't stop for gas, don't stop for snacks. Also, let's see, you have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, and medical. The only reason you leave your house in Thompson, Georgia is court, lawyer, and medical. Oh, we got, let's see, 2,000, 500, 3,000, and 500. 2,000, 500, 3,000, and 500. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, looks like that's it. I got somebody, Attorney Drayton. Who is that? I have no idea.
That's me, Your Honor. I'm standing in for Attorney Walls.
All right, where's your client, Mr. Bagley?
Mr. Bagley, yes. So to my knowledge, Your Honor, Mr. Bagley has been incarcerated in DeKalb County since September 1st.
All right, so is he still there?
Yes, Your Honor. Allegedly, he's in DeKalb County under a different name, Xavier Harris.
How you spell that? Jerrel.
Haril Harris.
So, can you tell me how long he's been there? We had an ankle monitor thing the other day, so I just got to let Judge Barwick know because it shows it was no tracking. So, was it just never put on his ankle?
It was put on his ankle back in April. It switched to a different company, a Second Chance.
Right.
Switched to it. And he's been in DeKalb County Jail since September 1st.
All right. So you think they cut it off of him, obviously, when he went to DeKalb? All right.
Yes.
So when he gets out, Mr. Jenkins, you just wanted to have the ankle monitor put back on?
Yes, once he's released, and have him report whenever that is, the Second Chance.
Mr.
This is the new company, and they've been more responsible, certainly.
Just have him call Second Chance bail bonds, Mr. Drayton, and he can get another one put back on. And then he can address it with Judge Barwick if he wants it back off. I'm not real sure, since he got arrested again, what she'll actually do.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that good? So yeah, once he gets out, but I'll let Judge Barwick know that he's been in DeKalb County since September. And I'll let them know too, but he can just have to place back on his ankle whenever he gets out.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Pleasure being in front of you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you, Milton.
You got one more, Your Honor?
Who is that?
Yeah.
Joseph Jano.
Robinson.
Which one?
Joseph Jano, Jeannot.
Oh, that's the one who he wasn't here, and his attorney already took care of it.
Oh yeah, sir. Your attorney took care of it. Now you're was it $130,000 bond? Actually,
It's 80. It's 80. 50, 50.
Oh, 1 minute.
Is it 130? Is it 50, 50, and 30? Yeah, 50, 50, and 30.
Actually, what it is, sir.
130.
Yeah, I'll tell you, to be honest, it's no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. You cannot have contact with Quin Zen or Quin Zen or Jin P Lee. Also, where are you going to live, sir?
Roswell, Georgia. Your Honor.
Where's it? Roswell?
Fulton County.
All right, so you can you're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by you with a 24-hour curfew. The only reason you leave your house is a court, lawyer, or medical. Stay away from 814 Roswell Road. No social media, no use of communication apps such as WhatsApp or any of those. No further contact with M. Lee or P. Zhao. Like I said, that 24-hour curfew, you have to surrender your passport to your lawyer. No working, running, or anything to deal with a massage parlor and or a spa. Let's see. And no, I said no further contact with your co-defendants. Did I get everything? Yeah, surrender your passport to your lawyer.
Yes, Your Honor. The bond is set at, I didn't get the number.
$130,000.
Thank you.
All right. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you, Milton.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right, everybody.
All right, Milton.
Judge, what happened with number one?
Good night, everyone.
It was
Number
indicted.
one was indicted.
Number one.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, LT.
Thank you.
All right, boss.
It's
Everybody.
been a pleasure and a
Take care.
blessing. I thank everyone.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Thank you, Judge Banning.
All
Thank
right.
you. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. I'll be doing some calendars during the daytime. Well, besides my
Yep.
other daytime calendars.
All right, I'll
We'll
see
see you soon,
then.
Judge. That's for sure.
Thank you,
Happy
guys.
Thanksgiving to all.
All right.
Thank you. You
Thank you.
too.
Thank you.
Anything, Mr. Dukes?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you a question. Number
All right.